This is another view across the fence. This time to the other side. This is our neighbor with the tractor. The one that promised to help us move the stones and seed for us. The same way he seeded here. So what we are looking at, and I will zoom in while panning over, is the area where he tilled and seeded. And he had a good harvest of oat straw. He had some round bales, and they were for himself, so they were not for sale. And then that was it. And since then he had brought in cows, sheep and the pigs lately. And this is how the area is now. So there is a lot of old grass still standing, and he is not so much interested in our rotational grazing model. He works with his tractor and plow and all the other things, and he is very happy when in the first year he has rampant growth, and I did admire that growth. That was great. But now I think that it was more like fireworks, and now it's gone. I'm not trying to diss this, but I think if he had invested into the rotational grazing after this rampant growth, after the one-time establishment of new plants, this area might look a lot better than it is right now. So it's a bit disappointing. Of course, he has more plants because he seeded, while in our case we have to let it grow naturally, and our natural enemy, the ants, are taking away the seeds. But I think in the long term we are going to achieve pretty much the same thing without the tilling, without the expense for seeds and the diesel and the labor and all that. So it might be a simpler solution than this labor intensive way. But to each his own, so no criticism. And I filmed this not to rain on his parade, as people say, but just to show the difference between what is going on in our piece and what is going on left and right. So now I pan back to our part. This is the animal lane with our biosecurity fence, and you see the irrigation pipe. That is the one that runs from the creek at the entrance of our farm, which is being fed from the water reservoir all the way to the top. It is some 1.8 kilometers long, and we built this step by step in 100-meter segments based on where we needed the water next. And now we are at the highest point, so kind of done. What we need to do is replace the couplings with something that is more durable. There's a way to weld this plastic together, and that is what we will do at some point, so that it's like it were manufactured. This is the promise of this technique. And yes, of course, we are lacking a little bit in comparison to the thing that the neighbor has here, but he has a lot of old growth, so this is oxidizing. And he also does have the sizzles, which are step by step disappearing on our piece. He has more grass plants because he brought them in. But in our case, I think, with our technique of bringing out seeds into the straw, we will add more and more. And through the grazing and the additional manure, which he does not have, we will step by step have more fertile soil and eventually surpass what he has done with his technique of tilling and seeding. So the idea is to never till on our side, except this one-time project up in Zone C, where we want to establish corn to give the soil a boost. So we just continue our grazing and let nature do the rest. The purpose of this water hole is to hydrate the areas that are straight ahead, lower down and to the right. This will see also some vetiver on the berm, at the bottom of the berm. And when we have time and can find the trees and shrubs for it, then we will also plant them on the berm. And certainly might be something of the fruit variety. This was dug also for pigs, because we had the pigs in here also a few times. And now we will put it to its intended use, to be a water reservoir to rehydrate the areas around it. But as you can see, it hasn't really filled up. Also, we had quite a bit of rain. The reason is that the ground is very sandy and it easily filtrates and flows away. But that is still okay, because the areas all around need that water, so that's perfectly fine. Our plan is to make it a little bit deeper before we then plant things nicely around it. The pigs also made an entrance there to the right, so we want to repair this and fill it up again. And pretty much the same way as the other paddock where we had the pigs, this also has seen pigs several times and has since recovered, and we had the cows in here for grazing. And as you can see, it has recovered nicely. So if we had seeded the last day before the pigs left, then maybe we would now see those grasses and whatever seed mix we would have used. So that is something we want to do going forward. Whenever we dedicate an area to pigs, before they leave, we throw out the seeds.
Part of the preparation of the new pig experiment is this area here. We are almost done with digging this pond. There are a few bits and pieces left, and we are also leveling the area where the pigs will be fed. That is there left to the hen house. And soon we will then put in a concrete slab to avoid wallows right there where we feed them. And then we get into the most exciting part of making our own pig feed. Of course, on a very small scale. It will only be for 5 pigs, but at least that will get us going, and we will learn a ton about how to do this. Since the morning, the cows are grazing in the areas that I explored the day before. That is those Pedroches A06, A19 and A20. That used to be one big paddock of a hectare in total size, and we split it into 3. And I will leave you now with some grazing sounds and images from today's grazing session.
Now it is time to leave this paddock. So now the gate gets opened, and then Juan will step in and indicate them to leave, while the other Juan is preparing the animal lane where they will walk towards Zone C, where they will spend the night again.
As you can see, the ants have also been out foraging, and there are a few that have wings. So we will see. They are beneficial, but can also be a nuisance. Basically every day, given that the forage situation it allows it, we have a little cattle drive here. Not the US style with horses, on foot by using our animal lane, but nonetheless it's a cattle drive. They get to walk from one end of the farm to the next end, and that is a very positive thing, and I really like it. Sometimes they are confused or actually don't want to leave. It happens every time when there is some forage left. But then of course we want to push them out in those cases so that the grass recovers quicker.
Sí. Oh.
Now it became clear that I don't want to leave, so I'm going to help now.
Era el los chicos.
It took a few minutes, but now they have been pointed in the right direction. Everything goes smooth. We have also offered them minerals with seeds mixed into. They are taking it, but apparently they had no great need for minerals, but at least it's a start. So this is how it looks like.
So this here is the experiment. We mixed seeds and salt and minerals, and they have not tried this a lot so far, but we wanted to try it. Maybe tomorrow when they come back they will then have more appetite for this.
Of course, along the animal lanes there is foraged, and so they stop every few meters to take advantage of it. They are not really done yet eating, but we want them to move because the guys have to leave. It is almost 3 o'clock, and the guys are hungry, and they need to eat themselves as well. So now the cows are almost at their destination. They just have to cross over the easement into Zone C, where the waterer is, and then they will organize themselves there. And that means that the guys can finally go home and have their very large meal. The older Juan has a very short drive home. He just goes from here to the village of Cardeña, which is about 10 minutes away. And Angel and the younger Juan, they have to drive all the way to Pozo Blanco, which takes them about an hour. And after the big meal, they will have their siesta nap and enjoy their afternoon until the next day when they are back in the early morning to continue with their tasks. And I say goodbye here. This is the end of today's videos, and I hope to see you soon in a couple of days here at Granja Caimito in the Pedroche Valley of Andalusia, Spain.